This is the aerial view of the Lapindo mudflow. Since 2006, this site has discharged 150,000 cubic meters of toxic mud every day, eventually burying 13 villages under several meters of sludge. Research from WALHI, Indonesia's largest environmental forum, identifies this blowout as the predictable result of a specific economic design, a system that has been operating on the island for over 2 centuries. The blueprint for this system arrived in 1808 with Governor-General Herman Willem Daendels. His mission was to fortify the Dutch colony against a British invasion. To secure the territory, Daendels reorganized the island's landscape, engineering an industrial extraction machine that functioned without regard for Java's ecological limits. The Great Post Road was the spine of this machine, a 1,000-kilometer route across Java's northern coast, built in just 1 year. Relying on forced labor, nearly 12,000 workers died. The casualties were so dense that the region of Batang takes its name from the Indonesian word for corpses. At a rocky pass called Cadas Pangeran, local leaders like Pangeran Cornell attempted to halt construction, protesting the lethal conditions and the exploitation of the Sumedang people under Dutch command. Completion of the road permanently altered Java's infrastructure. The island's economy shifted from a river-based trading network toward a land-based export factory designed for the high-speed movement of goods. This established the enduring logic of the Javanese economy. The requirements of colonial trade outweighed the survival of the villages the road dissected. The new road allowed for the implementation of the cultivation system. This policy forced indigenous farmers to use their land and labor to produce cash crops, specifically for the European market. To maximize these yields, the colonial administration initiated a wave of deforesting, clearing ancient jungles to install industrial-scale sugar and indigo plantations. As export commodities took over the most fertile soil, rice production plummeted. The focus on sugar and indigo led directly to localized famines that claimed thousands of lives. The cultivation system demonstrated that ecological degradation was not a side effect of growth, but a necessary component of the island's industrial output. When colonial rule ended, the new Indonesian state inherited this framework. This Daendelism remains the guiding principle for contemporary economic planning. Modern Trans-Java toll networks function as a scaled-up version of the original road. They continue to prioritize the movement of capital while further fragmenting the surrounding ecosystem. Evidence of this neglect appears in the 2005 Louis Gaja landslide in Bandung. A massive garbage dump collapsed onto a neighboring village, killing 125 people who lived at the edge of the city's unmanaged waste. In Jakarta, the indigenous Betawi population faces a similar displacement. Entire communities are removed from their land to make way for high-rise central business districts that serve an elite consumer class. These modern crises connect directly back to the 1808 blueprint. Marginalized communities are still being treated as a necessary sacrifice for the sake of industrial expansion. The Lapindo mudflow stands as the culminating point of this extractive logic. It is a disaster produced by the same disregard for land and people seen centuries ago. The operator placed a high-risk drilling site in the middle of a densely populated residential area. When the blowout occurred, it revealed a system that values resource extraction over the safety of the 13 villages now buried under mud. This chart shows the asymmetry of the fallout. Corporate profit remained shielded by legal delays, while the combined wealth and property of 9,000 families vanished. The risk of the industry was outsourced entirely to the victims. Java is currently the most densely populated island on Earth, yet its industries still operate as if land is an infinite resource, and the population is a secondary concern. These localized disasters, the mudflows, the landslides, and the urban displacement, are the early warning signs of a diminishing capacity for the island to sustain its population. If the system continues to treat Java's people and ecology as a subsidy for the elite, this erosion of resilience leads toward the very collapse that the WALHI research team has documented for years.